We are live from High Point Solutions Stadium for the Central Group 5 championship game between number 24 South Brunswick at 10-1 and number 6 Manalapan at 11-0. Buckle your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be fun. Here from Rutgers University, Dan Savarino with you. Thanks so much for joining us as these two groups will now meet in a championship game for the third time all together. Yes, that means of the 2 sectional championships that South Brunswick has been in and 4 finals appearances all in the last 6 years, this is their third one against Manalapan, and these two groups have created a little rivalry with one another over the last few years with these playoff meetings. Manalapan, coached by Ed Guerreri, 11th year at the helm, one-time sectional championship in 2014. They defeated South Brunswick. On the other side, it's Joe George. 6th year at the helm, hired in 2012. We're underway and picked up from the 10-yard line by Samir Blacknall. Crosses the 25, and Manalapan will begin with the football at the 26. Luke Corcione coming out as the starting QB for the 3rd consecutive season. Had to sit out in those first 30 days back in 2015 after transferring from Red Bank Catholic. Since then, had a career year last season, school record, 26 touchdowns. This season, numbers a little bit down in terms of TDs, but he has been so efficient. 61% completion, 9 touchdowns, 1,300 yards. They'll take a 1st and 10 from the 27. Instead, they'll give to Max Simic, the fullback, on the first carry, and a nice pickup. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Manalapan. That returns tons of starters from last year. On the offensive line, 3 returning guys. Mazza, Suriola, Cavallaro, McLaughlin, and Radisovich. Skill positions, Ellie Avivi, Samir Blacknall, Chris Bassano, and Scott Scherzer. You'll see Naeem Mayfield, who will be the feature back. 2,500 yards plus this season, and if he has a big day of 270, he'll break the state rushing record. Chris Maximic is the fullback. 6-yard pickup, so a 2nd down and 4, and it will go for just a 2-yard gain. On the tackle was Dylan Kriz as Naeem Mayfield hit the floor. This defense of Severs, John Goldsmith, the linebackers of Palmer, Kriz, Slover, and Cargile. Shorter, Joe Kamara, Kadabu Martin round out the secondary, with Felix Quinones at the other quarterback position. Very questionable for today. 3rd down and 2. And Mayfield will pick the 1st down and even more as he twists his way past the 40-yard line up to the 41. Expect a ground-heavy game on both sides. These are 2 very run-heavy teams who have been scoring at high numbers this season. South Brunswick averaging 32 points per game. They scored 42 in their Thanksgiving game against North Brunswick on Thanksgiving Eve. And one of those weird games that's an in-between in a storied rivalry between those two. That started in 1975. Well, they're back in a sectional title, as is Manalapan for his 2nd consecutive season here at Rutgers, as Mayfield gets the call and bounces right over one of the D tackles to the 45-yard line. But Manalapan averaging 45 points per game. And for the most part this season with the Braves, they have been blowing teams out in the first half. So a lot of the numbers that you hear of their star-studded players, such as a Corcione with 1,300 yards or a Mayfield with 2,500 yards on the ground, that's almost one half of football. 2nd and 6 from the 45, right in the center of the field. Corcione works in the gun, looks to throw for the first time. It is caught by Scherzer right at midfield. Quinones tackles him at the 49. Exactly even with the sticks, this will be a 1st down. Manalapan taking care of business all season, as we were just mentioning, in their semifinal win over Freehold Township, 63-22. Mayfield had 13, 176, and 5 TDs and scored the first 4 touchdowns. And 5 of his first 6 in that first half. 3 of them in the first quarter. They were up 56-14 at halftime. as Blacknall motions. That's what they'll give it to on the end around. Spins around, tackled in the backfield. Dalen John at nose coming across. It'll be a 2nd down and 12. And the first one on the pursuit was Xavier Cartile, a 3-year varsity starter. South Brunswick has not surrendered many points in these playoffs, just 2 touchdowns allowed total. North Brunswick was just one of 2 teams this season, and they scored 20 on them, mostly in a blowout part of the game, and just 2 teams have actually scored more than 2 touchdowns on them. Tough task today as Corcione drops back. He will drop it off to Maximic at the 45, crosses midfield, jukes one, and is tackled right at the 46-yard line. So a 3rd down and 7 is upcoming. This offense very run-heavy this year, and why not when Mayfield has been such a spectacular back? No question you will most likely hear his name on an all-Metro team come the next week and a half on News 12 Varsity. He has been having that kind of season. And in this game last year, when they lost to Piscataway, he was really the only guy who can get going offensively. 25 carries, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. Timeout, Manalapan. So it's 7:13 to go here in an opening quarter. A 3rd down and 7 upcoming. Ed Guerreri will talk things over on that far sideline. 11th year head coach, a Staten Island guy, as both of these head coaches are natives. Wagner High School, played college football at Northeastern, then went to Wagner. Won their championship in 2014, and that was after playing in 4 consecutive championship game appearances. Guy who has been part of the Braves program since 1997 as an assistant OC and D coordinator throughout his years. This group all time in the finals, though. Yes, the numbers may not be great, 1-5, but this team is making their 7th sectional finals appearance, and most of them coming the last few years. This is back-to-back years. They are coming into Rutgers with 11 wins and 0 losses. Lone loss last year, of course, was to Piscataway, which was one of their toughest games in this year's season, where they went to Peeway and came away with a victory, 28-0. One of the times that they were tested the most this season, which was a real grind throughout. Howell also played them pretty tough this year, also a victory of 49-28. 3rd down and 7, ball's at the 46 near hash marks. Corcione drops out, rolls right, pressure comes. Throws on the run, wide open, Scherzer, 2 feet in bounds, right at the 34. What a catch. Scott Scherzer, his 2nd catch on this drive alone. And it will move the sticks for the 3rd time. Well, already Luke Corcione on this first drive has thrown for more yards than he did in the entire championship game in 2016. He was just 6 of 12 against Piscataway, 14 touchdowns, 2 picks. 1st and 10 from the 34. Mayfield bounces outside. Now he's got some open grass. Past the 25. He's got breakaway speed. Manalapan on the board first. No surprise. Naeem Mayfield. A 34-yard run for Mayfield. His 46th touchdown on the season. A school record and a shore record. The only person who has more is a guy we're going to see in our next game from Freehold Borough, and Ashante Worthy. But he broke records this season, Naeem Mayfield, and not many people on the shore have broken prior to 2017. Extra point on its way, and David Gelb, the senior, banks it right through the uprights. 7-0 lead for Manalapan on a great opening drive to start this game. And it wasn't just Naeem Mayfield getting it done. He capped off the drive. But 2 big catches made by Scott Scherzer, 2 third-down conversions, 3 first downs in total for a 7-0 lead. 6:51 to play here in the opening quarter. Manalapan this season for them, it has been really just something special in these consistent deep runs. And talking to Coach Guerreri about it, of course, when you've been coaching in a school for 20 years now, it means so much to bring this group to be the likes each and every year. It's not just developing a team each year, it's developing a program, and that is what they have become. Started in the early 2000s, they got a new weight room, dedicated themselves to year-round lifting, and then when he took over in 08, he was in the school full-time. And he said that helped in a lot of different ways. Able to keep an eye on the boys, see their tendencies, learn their personalities a little bit more. And also able to bring in a couple of different players just by getting to know these guys who wouldn't play football. More stories on that as we go on. David Gelb will kick off from right to left. Barton, a fair catch at the 30-yard line. Of course, they're going to want to try and keep it away from Jalen Lawson. So running out into the huddle, and he was very questionable today, the quarterback, Felix Quinones. Played in the semifinals, got injured 7 minutes into that first quarter, the team's leading rusher. 632 in the air, 782 on the ground, 23 total touchdowns. They run a triple option. They are very run heavy. And the first carry will go up the gut as Thomas Joe Kamara will get the call. The offensive line of Cargyle White, Slover, Rankinati, and Goldsmith. Skilled guys, you'll see Lawson, Katabu Martin, Hussein Abidi. At running back, a lot of different guys you'll see. Joe Kamara, Javon Palmer, Dylan Kriz, and don't forget about Justin Shorter, the Penn State commit, 6'4", 220 pounds. You will most likely see him in 3 different capacities today. Running the football, trying to catch it, and that's who they're going to go to. What a catch! Justin Shorter. To the 36-yard line. And just as we were saying, what he's able to do for you, Justin Shorter has such good speed and size on the outside. That's why he's going to be playing in the Big Ten next year. So tough to match up with one-on-one. And the guy who took him there was Blacknall as he lines up with him once more. 1st and 10 from the 36 of Manalapan. Lawson rolls out to the slot. Joe Kamara, the lead back. Lawson motions. Quinones, nowhere to go but the backfield. Deshaun Taylor, a junior and returning starter from 2016. Let's take a look at the Manalapan D, which has been giving up just 11 points per game. 7 returning starters up here. Diaso, Sorolla, and Taylor are the front 3 with the outside linebackers of Sikowski and Claro. Tardagno and Pierce man the inside position. So good, more than 100 tackles on the season each. Secondary of Avivi, Lombardi, Riley, and Blacknall. 2nd and 15 on a 5-yard loss. Here's Justin Shorter, and he takes the rush this time for a 6-yard gain. Like we said, you will see him in multiple different ways. He will run the Wildcat at points as well. And in that semifinal game where Quinones went down, Gage Katzenhall is their backup QB. He got the start in the Thanksgiving game, and they were very impressed with what he was able to do. But when you were going into a semifinal, and a tough semifinal against Old Bridge, where they won 21-10, Shorter had to be the guy. 2 touchdowns, rushed for 1, and in the 4th quarter had a pick 6 while Old Bridge was driving and had a chance to take the lead. Quinones, the lefty, will throw here on 3rd down and 9, intended for Lawson. It is incomplete. So 4th and 9, but this is almost always 4-down territory. This team really does not punt that often. So Quinones will get the calls from the huddle. First-year quarterback replacing Josh Leao. Provides them a running dimension that not many have been able to see and what they haven't seen in a long time. He was a wide receiver last year, moved over to the QB position. They'll go for it on 4th and 9. From the 35 on Manalapan. Shorter motions left. 2 receivers on both sides now. Quinones, chest-high snap. Time in the pocket. Throws. Incomplete. Intended for Shorter on the coverage was Tommy Pierce, the phenomenal junior inside linebacker who's been starting since he was a freshman. So a turnover on downs for South Brunswick. Manalapan will take it from the 35 and a 7-0 lead. Again, they came out throwing the football, and Mayfield only had 2 or 3 touches on that opening drive. Now work from the I formation. Naeem goes up the middle, spins off a tackle up to the 46. Mayfield a commit to Fordham. He'll be playing for the Rams, Patriot League, tough league. Talking to Coach Carrera, he thinks it's absolutely perfect for him to play there. He can excel for someone who wants to be a business major and possibly find himself on Wall Street one day. You can't ask for much more than being in the Bronx in just a train ride over to Manhattan. 2nd and 5. Same formation. And jumping on the right side was McLaughlin. Ivan Radisevich, the second-year starter at right tackle, whose brother was a captain on that 2015 team and plays at Princeton now, also in that position. Radisevich growing big size from his sophomore to junior year. This offensive line has been very, very good. That includes the tight ends, where they run 3 of them. Mayfield cuts back right and lunges forward up to the 42-yard line. So they get the yardage back, but it's 3rd down and 3. Of course, the Braves, who have been so good over the last number of years. 2016, you went go 11-1, you fall in a championship. In 2015, you lose to South Brunswick in the semifinals on the last play of the game. And these 2 teams have created some history with one another, meeting in the finals, meeting in the playoffs. 4 of their 6 prior meetings have come in the playoffs. And Mayfield will be short. A nice stand by the defense. Mike Slover, the middle linebacker, first one on the pursuit. So 4th and 2, and it looks like the punt unit will come out with Gelb. Shorter is back to receive. Again, so dangerous in every way possible. They want to just give him the ball as much as they can. Gelb will look to steer it away from him. Good punt, out of bounds. Right around the 20, moving him up actually to the 28-yard line, where it went out of play. Like we said, they'll try and keep it away from Justin Shorter as much as possible. And that will flip the field. 2 minutes, 10 seconds to go here in this first quarter. 7-0 lead on a Mayfield 34-yard touchdown run. South Brunswick working out of the gun. Quinones in the shotgun. Looks left, throws left. It is reeled in by Hussein Abidi. Abidi, 5 receptions, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hasn't had more than 1 catch in these 5 games. He's a guy to look to every now and again, but like we said, this team doesn't throw a ton. They've only slung the ball around less than 90 times. 2nd and 6 after a 4-yard pickup. Quinones in the pistol. Up the middle. This is Dylan Kriz. And Kriz will be going backwards.
Initial hit was by number 49, Tommy Pierce.
Tommy Pierce hit him right at the 34-yard line, so a 1-yard gain on the play. These inside linebackers from Manalapan are as good as any through the program. 2 years ago, they had a sophomore in Sal Tordagno start with a freshman in Tommy Pierce. They have been the leaders of this team. It has paid dividends to have those two kind of skilled guys in a tough inside linebacker position. Quinones flips it out. Here comes Shorter on the outside. Stiff arms and taken down. Dale Sikowski. So 4th and short upcoming. And it looks like the punting unit will be out there. Sikowski at the strong side outside linebacker spot. Done a really phenomenal job this year and one of 3 to come through this program. John played at Monmouth. Set a shore record for receptions against Howell, 429 back in the day. And then Ben, who went to Wagner, was on a team that won a championship in 2014. False start against South Brunswick will make this punt a little more difficult.
Back to 31, but it'll be 4th and 7.
Booted by Slover. Picked up by Mayfield from the 40. Goodbye, Naeem Mayfield. 2nd touchdown today. Manalapan extends their first quarter lead just as the opening 12 expires.
And
65 yards, Naeem Mayfield doing what he's done all season long. Been the focal point of this Manalapan offense. And just as we were saying before, you want to keep the ball away from Justin Shorter. Well, guess what? You want to keep the ball away from Naeem Mayfield. And there was a block coming across, which I believe was Tommy Pierce, that opened up that room. Punt return TD for Mayfield. His 2nd touchdown this season on a return, but first one via the punt. Gelb gets it off. It is a 14-0 lead, and that is the end of the first quarter. 14-zip. Mayfield has both touchdowns. Manalapan leads 14-0 here in the Central Group 5 championship game, only on News 12 Varsity.
To purchase NJSIAA Championship apparel. And any reproduction, retransmission, rebroadcasting, or live streaming of the NJSIAA Championship contest without the express written permission from News 12 Varsity and NJSIAA is strictly prohibited.
Manalapan 14, South Brunswick nothing. As we start the second quarter here from High Point Solutions Stadium, all Manalapan here in the Central Group 5 championship game. Dan Savarino, thanks so much for joining us. Josh Noble, our producer. New Jersey finals, back-to-back years. Manalapan is in this game. And they've already scored more points in a first quarter than they did in last year's championship. Gelb with a lefty boot. He'll take one hop and a perfectly placed kickoff. And it's going to be touched at the 15-yard line. It is still South Brunswick ball, but again, that is so dangerous because if it would have hit one of the Viking players, that would have been the Braves. Through the first quarter, some of the stats. Manalapan's 63 rushing yards compared to South Brunswick's 7. 23 passing yards to the 36 for the Vikings. Shorter has 2 catches for 8 yards, along with two carries for 8 yards, along with a 32-yard reception. And Mayfield, 7 carries, 59 yards, a touchdown, and then the punt return TD. 1st and 10, Shorter's in the backfield, ball's loose, but he was already down. 1 yard loss going out of the Wildcat, and this is the third form that you see Justin Shorter on offense. Quinones back in the gun. He'll keep it himself. Quinones crosses the 20 to the 26. Knows Felix. He's been so good this season, checking almost 40% of their plays down. And his running dimension really opens up the field for this run-heavy group already. Has to keep an eye on him a little more instead of trying to double-team guys like Shorter. And don't forget, their other receivers are good. They also have 5 backs. 6 now after Chris grabbed a yard with 200 yards rushing. 8 backs who have 150 yards total. As Quinones rolls out to his strong side, caught by Shorter at the 29, and then fell down to a knee very quickly. That will be a first down. Justin Shorter, of course, has been the main guy they're going to. And in the preseason, they wanted to start moving him around a bit. Threw the ball out of the Wildcat against Sayreville, and then did the same thing in the semifinals. Also against Brick, he had a touchdown. That was throwing. 1st and 10. As 2 minutes already off the clock here in the second quarter. 14-0 game. Quinones, great fake to the 39-yard line. 2 Braves thought that Joe Camara was the one with the pigskin underneath his arm, but it was tucked inside of number 1. And those C's just opened up before Tommy Pierce could take him down for a 2nd and inches. In South Brunswick, 8 straight winning seasons. They've won 10 games, 5 of the last 7 years. 11 wins, 3 times. 6 consecutive semifinal appearances, all under Coach George. And this will be a first down on a carry by Chris. I want to talk about 2 coaches bringing their groups in and making these 2 the powers of Central 5. Well, that's exactly what has happened. Manalapan won their Shore Conference. South Brunswick, the GMC Red, which is always such a difficult conference to play in. The likes of Piscataway and Old Bridge. As Quinones looking for Shorter near sideline. Incomplete. Nearly brought it in with one hand. It bounced off of Samir Blacknall's arm. And that was almost a top 10 catch. We take a look at this replay one more time. Quinones put a good ball on down the near sideline. And he fought with Blacknall, but neither of them can pull it in. 2nd down and 10. Well, they don't mind going to the air as Jason George, Joe's son, runs the offense here. 2nd and 10 from the 42. We'll drop it off. Chris from the 40-yard line has some blockers outside of the numbers, past midfield, and a first down. Oh, they've been looking everywhere. And it looks like Quinones is okay throwing the football. An injury was on the elbow. But him having that extra time off, of course, the long layoff between semifinal games and sectional championships help. And he did not suit up during the Thanksgiving affair with North Brunswick. Here on 1st and 10. Quinones with a 4-yard pickup, well, just 3 yards rather, that for a 2nd down and 7. He is their leading rusher, though, closing in on 800 yards entering this contest. Where the last 2 years, just 9 carries, 12 yards and a touchdown. Year prior, he only had 3, coming off the bench mostly, and played in the secondary last year on that team that fell in the semifinals to Manalapan. Kind of making up for the year prior with that last-second play. Quinones flips it. This is Jalen Lawson. Lawson, ball's loose, pounces on it. And he'll actually grab more yards, but it got jarred loose. And Lawson was looking for another 5 or 6. Jalen Lawson, 400 yards on the ground this season. Last week was the star in the Thanksgiving game. 102 yards on 8 carries, 2 total touchdowns. He also had a pick 6. Quinones goes under center this time. Jukes out towards his left, up the right seams. Grabs 2. So deepest field position for South Brunswick, who have had this ball from the start of the quarter. Remember, it was a punt return touchdown for Naeem Mayfield's 5th career punt return TD, which ended the opening frame. We're now halfway through this 2nd quarter. South Brunswick started on their own 14-yard line. Will work from the 14. Looking to throw. Quinones drops it into that little pocket. Touchdown. Dylan Kriz. First receiving TD of the season. South Brunswick is on the board. An 86-yard drive as Subi's PAT is no good. So 14-6. Manalapan still leads. But the best thing that South Brunswick did was keeping Naeem Mayfield and that prolific offense from the Braves on the sideline for more than half of this quarter. This group, which offensively, like we said, has been up there. Not the same depth as in years past. Smallest number they have had in the George era. When you're not playing that many players, of course, physically it can hurt going both ways. This team is resilient. 10 wins, lone loss to Piscataway, 28-14. The defending champs who have given fits to many teams throughout this season. Zuby kicks it off, out of bounds. So looks like Manalapan will just take the field position instead of a re-kick. From the 35-yard line, they'll have their first drive of this quarter. That opening drive, 3 first downs, 2 third down conversions, and a Mayfield touchdown, followed by a 3-and-out. This is only their 3rd series on offense. High formation, Maximic the fullback, Mayfield at tail. Corcione works under center. Mayfield bounces off of a tackle before Chris tackles him at a 41.
Chris brings him down.
Mayfield in his last couple of years, too, I mean, he has been the star of this team in terms of rushing the football. 1,600 yards and 21 touchdowns as a sophomore. As a junior, 2,200 all-purpose yards, 1,700 on the ground plus. Most by any tailback junior at Manalapan. He has broken those shore records and school records as he works through the pile here, churning the legs to the 45. And Mama Mayfield, who was on that state championship team back in 2014 against South Brunswick, was the running back of that group 3 years ago. Now it's Sacred Heart. But Mayfield, and not including the 12 points he scored today, came in with 276 points. That is a state record. And Chris LaPierre had 272, most in the Garden State. Oh, Mayfield did break that. So make it 288 at the moment for the Fordham-bound tailback. 1st and 10. This offense, again, has been very, very run-heavy. Averaging 300 yards on the ground a contest. 70 total touchdowns entering into the game. 430 yards of offense per contest. As Blacknall hits a gap, hits some open grass, and past the 40. Blacknall has more than 100 yards rushing this season. He just got his first offer a couple of weeks ago for UNH. A 3-year varsity player whose older brother is playing at Penn State. That's Saeed, who in 2014 won a championship and was a top 5 recruit in the state. 1st and 10, 3:40 to play in the half. Throwing on 1st down, across the middle, intended for Mayfield, and overshot him by about 10 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 10 from the 39. Yeah, but Corcione, to look at him 2 years ago, and Ed Guerrero even says it, yeah, 2 years ago he was a game manager, and that is something that, unfortunately, for many quarterbacks has almost become a negative meaning. It is far from negative. But he said he can make the right checks and hit those right players, sees the game so well from the line, and knows this offense inside and out. It's going to happen when you're a 3-year starting QB. 2nd and 10 from the 39. Blacknall motions right. Corcione has to sidearm it. Bobbled, incomplete, intended for Blacknall. And he had the pressure of Jalen John, the nose guard at 6 foot 270, coming after him. John got right through the offensive line, and that forced Corcione to muster a sidearm throw to Blacknall. So 3rd down and 10. Two of 3 on 3rd downs. And with 3:29 remaining here in the half, South Brunswick would love a chance to potentially tie the score before halftime and getting the football in the third. 3rd and 10 from the 39. Corcione, time in the pocket. He's got a man. Overshoots Pisano. Pisano hasn't made a ton of catches this year. 5 of 43 and hasn't made a catch since Piscataway, which was the second to last regular season game. Corcione, a little too much strength on that, will force a punting situation. Second time they'll punt, and Gelb, who has been so good, will punt again, and this is going to be a false start. So 4th down and 15 for Gelb to boot this. Put 2 inside the 20 this year. On the 11th punt, it's a high snap. He has to pick it up and just jump on the football at the 32. South Brunswick will have prime field position with 3 timeouts remaining and 3 minutes and 17 seconds to go in the half. South Brunswick from the 33 of Manalapan. Trailing by 8. Quinones works out of the gun. Empty backfield this time. They'll go 4 wide on the left, 1 on the right. Quinones pump fakes, throws, cross the middle. Kriz, it's a touchdown. Flag on the play. And based on the reaction from the South Brunswick sideline, not the flag that they wanted. Ineligible receiver is the call. Kriz was wide open up the seams. Would have had his second touchdown reception today. But instead, he'll back him up 5 yards to the 38. So the Laundry wipes off 6 points. 1st and 15 from the 38. Right hash marks. Lawson. This will be a first.
Number 3, South Sargono makes the tackle.
Jalen Lawson, who has stepped up so much this season, more so in the last couple of weeks too. Last year was one of their wideouts, but started his time as a special teams guy as a freshman. He's been up here for some time. Quinones will throw on 2nd and 10. Lawson to the 14. And that is a first down.
First down, Vikings.
.229 to play here in the half. In the red zone for the second time. Same exact spot as early on in this quarter. Shorter motions right. The handoff will go to Javon Palmer. Palmer had 6 carries for 24. Thanksgiving didn't have a carry in their semifinal win over Old Bridge, but in the quarters had 2 touchdowns. For a 2-year back. 2nd and 6 from the 10. 2 receivers on the right. Kriz stands behind Quinones. Shorter motions right. Quinones holds it himself, tucks underneath, and a shoestring tackle will be made by Tardagno. Tardagno, 101 tackles this season. 15 in last year's championship loss for a 3-year starter. So with 1:25 remaining, Coach George will call a timeout. 1:22 on the clock. Will be 3rd down and 4 from the 8-yard line. Trailing by 8 points is South Brunswick. Manalapan jumped down to a 14-0 lead. All in the first quarter. Mayfield's run and then the punt return TD gave them that 14-0 advantage. In the second frame, South Brunswick had the ball for the majority. A Chris 14-yard touchdown. PAT did miss. And then this drive, which is their second one of the quarter, and the touchdown was wiped off due to an ineligible receiver. Now they'll talk things over on a 3rd down and 4. Looking to have an opportunity to tie the score and get the pigskin back for the 3rd. The issue with this offense when you're on the defensive side of it, there are 8 or 9 guys who can touch the football and make an impact. You don't have that one guy with 25 carries or shorter who they're looking to 15 times. So 3rd down and 4. And they get loud here at Rutgers. 1:22 to play here in the half. 3rd and 4 from the 8. Quinones to Chris. Looks like he'll be a yard short.
Chris carried. Diasso on the stop.
So up to the 5. Subi has not attempted a field goal this season and don't expect them to. With under a minute to play here in the half. 4th and 1 from the 5. Quinones under center. And jumping too early was Lawson. So now 4th down and 6. And your play calling changes dramatically. Only pro, I guess, you can take away if you're South Brunswick. You score right here, there is less time on the clock for Manalapan to do anything. Quinones works from the gun. 4th and 6 from the 10. Throws, end zone, shorter, touchdown. The Stars have come out to play here at High Point Solutions Stadium. And a 2-point conversion away from a tie game. So they will take it from the right seams. Timeout, South Brunswick. Justin Shorter, his 8th touchdown reception of the season. For a kid who played since he was in 8th grade, broke his ankle. Had that experience, put him on JV, and then really started to come out in his sophomore year. Coach George even said, I didn't think he was a Big Ten caliber player, but he has proven that he can be, as his development continued to rise more and more and more. One of the top recruits in this state at his position. And a guy who has not complained once about not getting the ball 15 to 20 times in the air. Both teams have very humble skill position guys. who just want the 6 on the board. 2-point conversion to tie the game. Quinones from the gun. Shorter, motions left. Quinones holds it himself, jukes back right, jukes left, he's short. Oh, what a stand by that defense. And Manalapan keeps the lead 14-12. 17 seconds remaining here in the half.
17 seconds remaining in the half. Manalapan 14.
Tommy Pierce read that play beautifully, along with Deshaun Taylor. Samir Blacknall was also in the vicinity. Quinones made a great cut back. So still a 2-point game, and Manalapan has not surrendered the lead. Of course, you want to try and keep it away from the return guys. And there are a lot of them who can do damage. Elia Vivi wearing number 1. Of course, Naeem Mayfield, Samir Blacknall, Scott Scherzer. Subi keeps this low. Scherzer will pick it up from the 10. Scherzer has the block on the right, but is tackled by Jalen Lawson at the 24-yard line. So with 12 seconds remaining, it should pretty much do it for the half. Real entertaining first half, first quarter, all Manalapan because they had the football. Defense stepped up in their couple of spots. The Vikings, though, in the second frame, they had the football for the majority. And their defense stepped up in the one series that Manalapan had the ball. It is a kneel by Corcione. It is halftime. Number 6 Manalapan. Back-to-back years playing at Rutgers. Here in the Central Group 5 championship game, they will head to the locker room with a 14-12 lead over number 24, South Brunswick. Stay tuned, second half. We'll be back in just about 15 minutes or so for the third quarter. You don't want to go anywhere. It's next on News 12 Varsity. Second half, live on News 12 Varsity, it's the Central Group 5 Championship game. Number 24, South Brunswick, 10-1. Number 6, Manalapan, 11-0. Dan Savarino here with you. Thanks so much for joining us from Rutgers University. Josh Noble, our producer, as the temperature cools down drastically. Here from New Jersey, the lights are shining bright. Manalapan kicks off from right to left. And again, they'll probably try and keep it away from number 15, Justin Shorter. Gell puts the pigskin on the pylon. Fresh 12 minutes on the clock. We're underway for the third quarter, and Joe Kamara will just call for a fair catch smartly at the 34-yard line. Some first half numbers for you. Quinones, who again was questionable coming into this game, and very questionable. 2 of 4 passing, 36 yards. He also ran for a -5. Hasn't been his usual self today. On first down, the throw is incomplete. Sorry, correction on the passing numbers, or first quarter numbers. Second quarter and first half total, 7 of 10 passing for Quinones. 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. On the ground, 6 carries for 20 yards. Lawson, 2 carries for 30. Kriz has 2 grabs and a touchdown for 25 yards, and Justin Shorter, 3 carries for 8 yards, 3 receptions, 51 yards, and a touchdown. It's second down and 10. Quinones will look to throw as the pocket collapses. He eludes a couple. Has a block, dives forward to the 38. Offensively in the first half, 171 yards of offense for South Brunswick. And believe it or not, even though a 14-12 lead, Manalapan just 87 yards of offense. And that group only had one real good drive, the opening drive of the game. They had a 3-and-out punt and then punted after 1 first down on their lone possession in the second quarter. South Brunswick completely controlled that second frame with time of possession. Third down and 6 from the 39. 1 of 4 on third downs. Quinones throws Shorter. Anything but short. It's a first down. Justin Shorter, again, has been the main target as expected. And they have used him a lot more today than maybe usual. And of course, the goal with Quinones not 100% sure has to be get the ball to our best player, and that is number 15. First and 10 from the 47 near hash marks. Lawson motions left. Quinones runs right. Gallops past midfield and spins out of bounds inside of Manalapan territory. The defense overall for Manalapan, Tardagno 5 tackles, 3 each from Taylor, Siskowski, and Pierce. However, they have been playing a lot of defense. Mayfield's 34-yard run and then the punt return touchdown gave a 14-0 lead going into the second quarter. And since then, it was a Kriz touchdown with 5:51 left, where they had the ball from the start of the quarter. And then Shorter with 17 ticks remaining, and that's been just about it. As Palmer will get his number for the second time called ahead. Not too far of a gain. 3rd down and 1. They'll line up at the right hash. The ball sitting at the 44-yard line. Already 2 minutes off the clock here in the third quarter. Quinones holds it himself, tries to twist around. And again, he only needed inches to get to that marker. This spot is pretty short. They'll come together. First down. So second first down on this drive. And 10th so far in the contest. Manalapan's defense being so good. Again, of course, the key to this game, and even Ed Guerreri said it, was we have to be able to control the line. Got to keep Shorter off the field as much as possible. Keep him tired on defense. Well, right now offensively, he's been doing well. As Lawson will get a running start in motion to his left. Quinones throws across the middle in the flats, and Martin will grab his first ball today. Kadabu Martin. Only his second reception today, but that has been a common trend so far with him and Chris. Quinones looking to the air, plenty. So another first down on this drive to the 28. Quinones from the gun. Manalapan showing blitz on the outside. Quinones keeps it and tackled in the backfield by Tommy Pierce. LaShawn Taylor was also there to help on the tackle. Tommy Pierce, guy who started the last 4 games of 2015. 16 tackles against South Brunswick in that semifinal loss that year. Missed 4 games in 2016 and still had 97 tackles. This season, 129 entering today. Top 5 in the state. At one point was as high as number 2 in the Garden State in tackles. Second down and 11. After a 1-yard loss, Quinones, play action, throws, hits his man. A biddy outside of the numbers to the 22. They've gone to the big plays. Shorter had a big 30-plus yard catch, which kind of flipped the field, but other than that, we haven't really seen South Brunswick try and air the ball out more than 25 yards. It's mostly been balls in the flats, screens, passes 5 or 6 yards at a time. And when you get in that rhythm, that's all you need. I formation with Chris at fullback. Loose ball, Quinones has it. Tardagno and Maximic were able to jump on him. So 4th down and 5. One for 2 on 4th downs. The last time they went, it was to pretty much end the first half, and it was a touchdown. Bell tie snap. Quinones looks right. Incomplete. The coverage by number 45, Justin Riley. And he was all over Lawson. Turnover on downs, and that's what Manalapan needed. The drive still takes away 5+ minutes. But Manalapan, with just a 2-point lead, can now let their star do some work. Since that punt return touchdown, really only touched the ball once. Barely was seen in the second quarter on their one drive. The only other one that quarter was a kneel. Naeem Mayfield hits the gap hard behind the tackles and grabs about 5 yards. They'll give him 4 yards on the carry. Last year, of course, losing to Piscataway, and they don't need to be reminded anymore. That has been motivation for this team in 2017. That feeling that they never want to be a part of the final 23 games again, but this time come out as one of the final 23 winners. 6 minutes to go in the third. It's 2nd down and 6 from the 27. Corcione under center, I formation. Mayfield gets past Shorter, and Chris will tackle him at the 33-yard line. That will also be a first down.
First down for the Braves.
But everybody's attitude and focus this year has been second to none. And that is something that Ed Guerreri wanted to make sure he pointed out with all of his players. Said it's very easy for guys like Corcione to complain that he goes from 26 touchdowns to just 9 this season and not having as many opportunities to toss to the end zone, or some of the wide receivers not getting as many receptions. He said it hasn't mattered though. Everyone just wants that W as Mayfield crosses to the 35 for a 2-yard pickup. But nobody cares about their stats, and they're feeling comfortable throwing the football when needed. We saw it on the opening drive, open up some looks for Mayfield to eventually take over, trying to find that balance in their offense. For a rotation that has 3 different tight ends slot in and all doing different things. They go double tight again. Play action. Corcione looks to throw. Fires across the middle. Incomplete. Intended for one of those tight ends, Alex Claro, the junior.
30.
They were 3 of 5 on third downs back in the first half. They will need to go 8 yards to continue this drive. They'll have another receiver on the field. Scherzer and Pisano on the right. Vivian Blacknall on the left. Mayfield moves right. Corcione will drop it off. Maximic, he's got the first down. Past the 45. Bulls his way to the South Brunswick 45-yard line. Well, that is just one of the best fullbacks to ever come through the Manalapan program. And it is said by many. A player who still has 7 touchdowns on the season, another 11 receptions coming into today, and so good out of the backfield. Guerreri calling him one of the top fullbacks in the Shore Conference and so undervalued, as Mayfield keeps moving those legs and grabbed another yard by just rolling over one of the defenders. 4 minutes to go here in the third. It'll be a 2nd down and 7. Looking very similar to the opening drive of this game for Manalapan, where all the energy was on their side of the field, their sideline. Since then, their fans have been somewhat quiet. They haven't had the football. Mayfield works through the pile and comes out of it slightly, picking up another 3 yards. So 3rd down and 3. After Cargyle picking up the first hit from the 38-yard line. Corcione in his career, 60% completion. 39 touchdowns, 7 INTs. This is most likely a running situation. A 3-back set. Mayfield behind some blockers. Tackled for a loss. Canaboo Martin. And he'll bring up a 4th down. 4th down and 3. And they will go for it from the 38. 0 for 1 today on their lone 4th down attempt. It came in the 2nd quarter. And that was really just because of a botched punt. First real true going forward on 4th down. Mayfield gets the call. Jukes up ahead, dives forward, depends on the spot. South Brunswick is saying no way. It's a turnover on downs. Boy, Mayfield came out of the pile and missed by inches from hitting those sticks. So a long drive will just give South Brunswick the pigskin from their own 35-yard line and a 1st and 10, trailing by 2. Throwing, Lawson, nearly intercepted by Lombardi. Boy, the trick play almost turned into a turnover. George Lombardi sliding across, breaking up any opportunity. Just couldn't reel it in. Has 1 interception this season, the first-year starter at safety. The secondary being one of the 2 groups that lost 2 starters from a year ago. 2nd and 10 from the 35. 2:01 to play here in the 3rd frame. Shorter motions. Quinones flips it out to Shorter. Here comes the future Nittany Lion. And he'll drive down the far side of the field to the 41. Well, he'll be playing here at some point. And once again, he'll be a visitor, most likely in the all-whites. That is, of course, unless Penn State wears their blue uniforms. But semantics aside, he will always be a visitor in this building, but wants one more big show and a state title before he moves on to his college days. 3rd down and 5. 3 for 7. They get loud on the Braves sideline. Timeout, South Brunswick. First charge timeout with 1 minute and 54 remaining in the 3rd. Dan Savarino here with you. Thanks so much for joining us from Rutgers in the Group 2 championship. We already saw a winner, Hillside. First time they win the title in 32 years. Stay tuned, though. We have plenty of action still remaining. It is remarkable to think we're not even done with 2 games here. It feels like it's been a long day, and it has not ended yet. We're very excited. We still have 2 more remaining. At 4 o'clock, you'll see Freehold Borough and Ashante Worthy, one of the most talked about players, not just on the shore, but in New Jersey, taking on Long Branch, a group that has really come together this season. That is a 4 o'clock start, and then at 7 o'clock, Rumson Fairhaven going for the 5-peat. 5 straight sectional titles. It would be a 2nd different group. Time looking for a Group 3 crown against Somerville, who ended a 22-game losing streak just 3 years ago. Since then, last year's semifinal, this year, state championship appearance. 3rd down and 5 from the 40. South Brunswick from left to right on your TV screens. Shorter motions right. Quinones looks left, steps up in the pocket, throws, intercepted. Zazurski runs up the near side of the field, and he will be tackled all the way back at the 33. His first INT this season. There was also some extracurriculars after the play. So if it comes after, this should still stay with Manalapan. It's a personal foul penalty. That will just back up the yardage. So all that INT yak by Dale Zazurski. Excuse me, Sirkowski. Will go to naught, but they get the ball midfield. Sirkowski's first INT on the season, the junior. First-year starter at outside linebacker. From exactly midfield. Mayfield bounces outside the numbers, past the 45, and darts his way up to the sticks.
Just now brings it down.
So Sirkowski, the first turnover in this game, minus a turnover on downs. And now Manalapan, with under 90 seconds to play in the third, will look to make them pay. A 1st and 10 from the 40 after a 10-yard pickup exactly. I formation. Maximic with Mayfield behind him. Naeem with the carry up the middle and runs into a wall of white jerseys. Mike Slover, the returning starter at middle linebacker. Coming off a 7-tackle game in the semifinals. One of those guys that was resting during the North Brunswick game. We said this defense, they've given up just 2 touchdowns total. 1 against Hillsborough and 1 against Old Bridge, when they also gave up a field goal. 2 touchdowns or less, 9 of 11 under D coordinator Michael George, the other son of Coach George. Naeem Mayfield spins past the tackle. Chris and many others will pull him right to the turf at the 25. Always such a great energy between these two schools. Great programs that really love their football. They have come out in bunches to fill this big college stadium. The band is always the best touch, in my opinion. 3 quarters of football are in the books. 12 minutes of regulation remain. Manalapan with a 14-12 lead over South Brunswick. The Central Group 5 championship game. Stay tuned. We'll be back for the 4th quarter on News 12 Varsity. Fourth quarter. Here from High Point Solutions Stadium, Rutgers University. The Central Group 5 championship game. Dan Savarino, thanks for joining us. Manalapan with the football to begin this 4th frame. They'll be going from left to right and have a 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line of South Brunswick. Leading by just 2 and all 14 points coming in the opening frame. Since then, it has been stall drives and not many of them. The handoff to Mayfield. Says nope, nowhere to go there. Tries to spin around, only gets back to the original line of scrimmage. Some numbers through 3 quarters. Manalapan 110 rushing yards on 153 total. 88 rushing yards on 217 total yards of offense for South Brunswick, who have really aired the ball out. They have the time of possession by almost 2.5 minutes. Penalties pretty even. And many other opportunities there as well. This is just outside of the red zone, an area Manalapan has not been in yet. Mayfield, inside of the 10. So good at breaking open plays. 1st and goal for Manalapan. Mayfield has both touchdowns for the Braves. A rushing TD and a punt return touchdown. The scores for South Brunswick are Chris, a reception for 14 yards, and Justin Shorter. Quinones, who was very questionable coming into this Saturday, has thrown for 2 touchdowns. First and goal from the 8. Manalapan looking to extend their lead. Mayfield tripped up in the backfield. That's Javon Palmer, the outside linebacker. So a 2-yard loss for a second and goal. These two teams have met 6 times prior to today. 2-2 in the playoffs and 2 times in the championship game. 2014, that was Manalapan 21-7. 2012, 33-22, South Brunswick. Their 2016 semifinal was one of the most memorable ones. A positive memory for South Brunswick. As Mayfield jukes back left, keeps driving forward, across the plane, he's in for a score, but it's going to be a holding penalty against Manalapan.
The ball is holding against Manalapan.
And it comes right around the 12-yard line, so this will back this play up heavily to the 22-yard line now. It is going to be second and goal. So 6 wiped off the board after a nifty run by Mayfield. From the gun, it's Corsion. Early here in the 4th quarter in a 14-12 game. Second and goal from the 22. Play action. Corsion to the end zone. Intercepted! Lawson. He was looking for a Scherzer. Jalen Lawson with his team best 4th interception on the season. Cut right in front of Scherzer. So the South Brunswick defense make up for the INT thrown to Sikowski. A holding penalty wipes away the Braves 6 points. And then an INT gives the Vikings the ball back at the 20. He'll get the number after the interception. Only go a yard. Again, missing that first PAT. And don't forget about the stop on a 2-point conversion. I know it's kind of going to go just by the wayside depending on the final score, but the fact that Manalapan was able to stop Quinones, who broke 2 tackles, and then Pierce stopped him right at the goal line from getting the 2. That's what changes this from South Brunswick trailing to a tie game. Quinones, empty backfield. Rolls out near side. The lefty on his strong side. Has plenty of open grass. Spins around up to the 30-yard line where he is driven to the ground. Radosevic was on the tackle. But Quinones gets the first down, which matters even more. South Brunswick has been so good today at these long, lengthy drives, eating up the clock, methodically moving the chains, and keeping the Braves defense on their heels. Quinones pulled back. Radosevic among 3 others. South Brunswick's lone loss this season, Piscataway. Back-to-back years they have lost to Peeway after winning 4 straight. Coach George saying they really gelled together after that loss, and the team really hasn't changed since then. They've been who they are. They like what they are. hard-nosed group goes both ways. In the wins, they have handled themselves the same exact way. Now Shorter escapes a tackle in the backfield by Taylor. And then they have help right at the 30-yard line at the original line of scrimmage for a 3rd and 10 to upcome. But he has spoken about the commitment of this group, Coach George. Their guys doing such a fantastic job, and the staff as well, to put together this team where a lot of guys are going both ways. Third and 10. 3 of 8 on 3rd downs. Shorter motions left. Out of the pistol. Quinones delays, runs up to the 45. It'll be a 4th down and 5 if they elect to go. And I think at this point in the field, that's a dangerous move, and that's why they will bring out Evan Subi. Only the 2nd time today they have punted the pigskin. Scherzer and Avivi were the 2 back to receive. And a timeout is going to be called by Manalapan. A little worried on this 4th and 5. Some confusion with the coverage. 14-12, Manalapan leads South Brunswick. 6 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in regulation time. Here at High Point Solutions Stadium, capacity more than 52,000. Not that number today, but just about the entire towns have come out on both sides, filling in a good portion of this lower bowl where they are allowed to sit. It's always an honor to come and play at these big stadiums. Even though these two teams have had the opportunity to do so numerous times, it never gets old. They will punt. Slover boots it. It rolls a Manalapan way to the 46. And I'm sure they're just happy that Mayfield isn't going to be able to run with the football. One of the officials on the far side actually got hit during that coverage. So he is being looked at on the far sideline. 6:02 to play. It will be Manalapan football from their own 46. So the official will stay on. Looks to be okay. 1st and 10 from the 46 for Manalapan. Leading by 2, 14-12, 6:02 to play. One of those drives, they need something drawn out. They need to pick up multiple 1st downs and kill off this clock. From the gun, Corcione. Mayfield. And it's hit, grabs 2 more yards to the South Brunswick 49-yard line. Well, Mayfield's not going to have that 270-yard day, which some have hoped could possibly happen, to pass Jonathan Taylor, who set that record at Salem last year. If you look at the season, though, that he had, one of the best to ever do it in the state of New Jersey. 5 touchdowns 5 times in each of his last 2. He has 2 total touchdowns in this contest.
Mayfield once again. Stumbles forward to about the 48.
In the playoffs alone, 502 total yards, 7 TDs, averaging 15 yards per carry. He's a little bit below 15 yards per carry right now, but he has still been picking up rushes of 6-7 yards at a time. 3rd down and 4. And they get loud on the South Brunswick sideline. Mayfield in the backfield. Thomas Joe Kamara. Davon Palmer was also there. So that brings up the punting unit. Third time this team will punt. Gelb has been very good on those punts. When you actually look at this, though, for Manalapan, despite that opening drive, offensively, they have not been that great. They have had 2 3-and-out punts, a turnover on downs. And that's pretty much it. Of course, the INT that came on a 1st and goal is the one that kills them the most. And then it became a 2nd and 22. 4:05 remaining. South Brunswick had to burn a timeout because of personnel issues. And one that frustrates coaches when you're already trailing in a contest. Shorter back to receive. The star players have been stars. Gelb to punt from left to right. Snap is good, nearly blocked. Shorter will let this one roll. And Manalapan will touch it down inside of the 10. Boy, even on the last one that Gelb punted, the only reason why he didn't get it off was because of a high snap. But other than that, his punts have been exceptional today. Good kicking duties from the special teams. Now the Manalapan defense, which has been on the field for a very long time today, will get back to work. From their own 8-yard line. 3:55 to play, 1 timeout. Offensively, Ed Guerreri says they remind him of Howell. Because Eddie Morales is such a good athletic quarterback and run arounds. Same can be said about Quinones. He throws on 1st down to double coverage and almost intercepted by Blacknall and Lombardi. Said athletically, the South Brunswick defense is kind of like Piscataway, maybe not as large in some areas, but knew they would be tough. Said it right away. This is going to be a fun game. It's going to be probably the toughest game we've had all year. 2nd and 10 from their own 8. Movement on the line. It'll be against Manalapan. It's like Radosevic jumped early at nose. Pistol formation, 2 receivers on the far side. Blacknall from Manalapan takes Shorter on the near. Looking to Shorter, he'll make the catch outside of the numbers at the 17 and then run out at the 19. Said you don't need these gains or big plays of 45, 35 yards. Sometimes those little passes of 7, 10, 12 yards, it's all you really need to keep moving forward. And Shorter, who of course has Big Ten potential, playing at Penn State next year, he looks almost like a pro wide receiver out there, just making the big catch when he needs to. A sure hand. They'll run, and Chris is free into the secondary. Up to the 37. Dylan Chris was not the leading carrier in this entire season. He came in with 199 yards on 35 carries. He has a touchdown reception, one that was wiped off. He isn't very good. He'll throw on first down, Shorter again outside the numbers, runs right into Blacknall at the 47. So again, another 10-yard pickup on a Shorter reception. .3:19 to play here in the fourth. The Vikings marching down the field. Manalapan will call a timeout. Their first charge timeout. And listen to this crowd of South Brunswick. There is a nervous excitement on both sides of the field. And even though South Brunswick may be the team trailing in this game, the point of the field they're at with the time remaining and a timeout, there is a confidence driving up the field. Another classic between Manalapan and South Brunswick, and no surprise. This South Brunswick group, especially in the semifinals, losing their quarterback, having to come back with some big plays. Quinones will check down, takes the snap, play action, here comes the rush, floats it, Chris makes the catch at the Rutgers logo. Into Manalapan real estate at the 47. So it'll be a second down and 4 with under 3 to play. Justin Shorter had a halftime speech. They were all shocked. Quinones knew it was a tough game. They wanted to finish the job. Get him another game out here. That's exactly what they did. Chris on the carry, over the numbers and past the 40s. He rumbles ahead to the 39. Cowbells ringing, fans cheering, and bands playing, all on this near side of High Point Solution Stadium. The fourth first down on this drive. 2:15 to play in regulation. 14-12 the score. Play action, flipped over. Here's Lawson. Lawson moves ahead past the 30. Boy, that play could have been blown up in the backfield. To the 28. Lawson, the hero, a few minutes ago with that interception in the end zone. Manalapan had a first and goal from the 8. And on second and goal from the 22, he picked off the pass. Quinones will run outside and be tackled by Maximic at the 28. This defense of Manalapan has been on the field a very long time. Who lost only a few starters, some playing college ball, some playing at junior college looking to play D1 football next year. But they have 3 two-year starters, 7 returning starters in this 11. Very experienced group with 1:10 remaining. Quinones throws to Shorter. It's caught at the 16. The 5th first down on this drive, and 3rd alone by Justin Shorter. Again, it was going to be so hard to cover him one-on-one because they always want to get him the ball in different ways. Knew they would have to help him over there. Blacknall has been the main target defensively. 63 seconds to go. South Brunswick in the red zone from the 17-yard line, trailing by 2. Quinones looks right, now looks left. Goes to the legs, throws on the run, and out of play. And the pressure coming from Pierce. 2nd and 10. In the first quarter, after Mayfield scored the first touchdown, then the punt return, you almost had that feeling that this could really be run away with. But a long, lengthy drive in the second by South Brunswick has kept them in this game. And listen to this crowd roar. 2nd and 10 from the 17. Quinones works out of the pistol. Shorter motions right. Quinones, time in the pocket, throws across the middle. It's caught for a touchdown. Jalen Lawson. He has an INT in one end zone and scores a TD in the other, all in the 4th frame. South Brunswick with their first lead. You want a guy who has stepped up gigantically this season, especially the last few games. It's been Jalen Lawson. They will line up for a 2-point conversion after this 92-yard championship drive. Quinones moves left. Throws, intercepted, but you can't run it back. That will pretty much end things on a 2-point attempt. It fails. However, it's a 4-point lead for South Brunswick. 18-14. 53 seconds remaining and 1 timeout to go for the Braves of Manalapan. And they are loving life here on the Vikings sideline. What a game from High Point Solutions Stadium. Number 24, South Brunswick, leading number 6, Manalapan, 18-14. Jalen Lawson, his 4th touchdown grab of the season, 17 yards out for an 18-14 lead after he had the INT before, which saved 6 points. Zuby will kick off from right to left. All the skilled guys back to receive. He'll skip it on the carpet. Scherzer picks it up at the 23. Scherzer only up to the 29. And who else? Lawson on the pursuit. The star here in the 4th quarter. That senior has stepped up gigantically. So Manalapan, with 1 timeout, will have 49 seconds to drive 71 yards. Corcione out of the gun. 2 receivers on both sides. Looking to the near side. Scherzer makes the catch at the 35 and tackled in bounds. Felix Quinones spiked down by Corcione. 36 seconds to go. So that will bring up a 3rd and 4. Just to think about how this game has gone. South Brunswick has persevered from the very beginning. This defense has stood up in the biggest moments. Now they need one more stand. 3rd and 4 from the 35-yard line. 36 seconds on the clock. Corcione to Scherzer again. Leaps out of bounds. And that will pick up a 1st down and stop the clock. 32 seconds to go. Scherzer has been their main target all season. And their main target today. A 3-year starter. Maximic at the right hip of Corcione. 4 receiver set. 1st and 10 from the 41. Corcione airs it out and overshoots. Pisano, there is a flag on this play. It's a holding penalty, defensive holding. A 10-yard penalty. Because it is only a holding penalty. Spot foul again. 27 seconds to go from the 49 of South Brunswick. You need 6. A field goal, of course, will not do it in this 18-14 game. Empty backfield for Luke Corcione, the 3-year starter. He takes a chest-high snap, time in the pocket, throws left, incomplete. Mayfield seemed to be the main target on that. Blacknall was also darting upfield. 2nd and 10, 21 ticks remaining. South Brunswick 2-time sectional champs. 2015 against Old Bridge, 42-0. 2012 against these Manalapan Braves. The lone sectional title for Manalapan coming back in 2014 against South Brunswick. Corcione, 2nd and 10 from the 49. Here's the pressure. Here's the throw to Scherzer. Over his hands, incomplete. Quinones with good coverage. Just looking down that near side of the field. And again, Corcione has overshot a couple of his targets today by only a couple of yards. So 15 seconds to go. Down by 4 from the 49 of South Brunswick. 1 timeout remaining. Corcione looking across the middle. It's caught by Blacknall and over at the 30. Clock stops as they move the 1st down markers. And now Manalapan will call a timeout. So 10 seconds remaining and at least 1 shot, maybe a second to the end zone from 29 yards out. The thing that has worked for you so well this year, which has been the ground game, Naeem Mayfield, well, from the 29, that kind of takes away that opportunity. This is a very nervous crowd on both sides of the field. South Brunswick just taking their first lead. Less than a minute ago in game time. You have to wonder, who would you look to here? Blacknall, Scherzer, those are both been targets on the outside. They'll run into the huddle with 10 seconds remaining. Manalapan trailing 18-14 from the 29-yard line. Blacknall, along with Pisano and Scherzer, move left. Mayfield on the right. Corcione drops back to pass. Steps up into the pocket. 6 seconds on the clock to the end zone. It's caught by Mayfield. There is a flag. It is a push-off by Mayfield. The penalty on Manalapan. The second time a TD was wiped off for the Braves in this quarter by a penalty. So the call was that Mayfield pushed off of Quinones. So now one final play from the 44. South Brunswick will burn their final timeout. Now I'll tell you what, looking at this play one more time, still trying to get a better angle on it, if Mayfield did push off or not, or if it was slight. I'm not really sure. I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, but I'm really not sure about that play. It looked a little questionable. Regardless, 3 seconds will be on the clock. It was a good ball, too, by Corcione. And Mayfield just found his way back. That's a very slight push-off, looking at the replay one more time. Very, very slight. 3 seconds left. Most likely the final play. This is for the sectional championship. Corcione from the 44. Steps up in the pocket. Hail Mary to the end zone. Batted down. South Brunswick are your 2017 Central Group 5 champions. What a game. What a performance. A 92-yard drive, which resulted in the 6 points they needed to take their first lead. Lawson's INT kept points off the board for Manalapan. After that, he ended up scoring and capping off that 92-yard drive. 18-14, the final score. South Brunswick wins their third ever sectional championship and second against these Manalapan Braves. We'll be right back to talk to one of the victorious